This is for those who don't know about modalism or monarchianism. Modalism came up from a historian, Adolf von Harnack, and he coined the term modalism. It just means modes of operations, it could be, or modes of revelation. So I'll just quote Adolf von Harnack, and he says, modalism was for almost a generation the official theory in Rome, unquote, and quote, was embraced by the great majority of Christians, unquote. He added that the, quote, the sympathies of the vast majority of the Roman Christians were on the side of the monarchians. So you that don't understand history and how it all happened, once you start hearing these quotes, you're like, wait, what? Are you serious? This is the ancient Christian view of the Godhead? Of Jesus? Here's another quote from Bart Ehrman. Quote, modalism was the view that evidently was held by a majority of Christians at the beginning of the 3rd century, including the most prominent Christian leaders in the church. Tertullian says in Against Praxis, chapter 3, he says, the simple who always constitute the majority of believers. This is around 200. He argues that the majority of believers were going against his doctrine of God as 3 in 1. And so you could see he was starting to use Greek philosophy to understand the doctrine of God that is found in the New Testament. He wasn't being straightforward. There's only one God. God is one. Jesus Christ is the incarnation of God. And when you receive the Spirit, you're receiving the self-same Spirit of God incarnate. You're receiving the Spirit of God himself, but now in the hearts and lives of the believer. And let's continue. Origen, he was in the East. Tertullian was in the West. In his commentary on the Gospel of John, book 1, chapter 23, he spoke of, quote, the general run of Christians, unquote. Origen was frustrated that most Christians didn't see the Son as having an independent existence or hypostasis separate from the Father. And so here we have people early in Christianity who were fighting the majority view that God was one and Jesus Christ is the hypostasis of the Father, the person of the Father. These two, Tertullian and Origen, were trying to fight against the majority view of Christianity. Here's James White quote of Melito of Sardis. Whenever James White quotes this, I always laugh because this is a oneness passage. Melito of Sardis, 160 to 170 AD. Quote, he that hung up the earth in space was himself hung up. He that fixed the heavens was fixed with nails. He that bore up the earth was borne up on a tree. The Lord of all was subjective to ignominy in a naked body, God put to death. He uses singular personal pronouns. He's talking about one. And that's Melito of Sardis writing about 160 to 170 AD or so. So you got to understand the monarchian view, the oneness view, is older than the Catholic tradition. Why? Because it's more close to the scriptural text. It's closest to the original Christians that were reading the New Testament that heard the apostles. Check out my debate this Friday with Dwayne Minchin on the Standing for Truth channel. All right, thank you for watching. God bless.